Okay, good evening, everyone. It is Monday, February 28th. Calling the meeting to order at 5:02 p.m. We're going to start off with roll call. Mimi Kim,
Here.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Here.
Jody Molado,
Absent.
Joe Rubio,
Present.
Paul Vieira, present. Dr. Susie O.
Here.
Okay. May I get someone to make a motion to approve tonight's agenda?
Michelle
Aye.
Bauer-Bean.
Go ahead. I think you cut off, Michelle. You were going to make a motion?
Yeah, I did. Sorry, Joe. I think you were going to do that. Maybe I interrupted you. Sorry. So I'll make the motion. You want a second, Joe?
Sure. I second. Joe Rubio.
Okay, all in favor by saying aye. Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Jody Moldo absent, Paul Vieira, aye. Dr. Susie O,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer-Bean.
Aye.
Okay, tonight's agenda has been approved. 1.3, public comment. Do we have any public comments tonight? No, okay. Moving on to consent items. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve the consent items?
I, Joe Rubio, make a motion to approve the consent items.
Can I get a second?
I, Mimi Kim, second.
Okay, any discussion? Okay, if we can take a vote to approve the consent items. Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer-Bean,
Aye.
Jody Molado absent, Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. Dr. Susie O.
Aye.
Okay, all consent items have been passed. Closed session 3.1, public employee performance evaluation.
This will be, I'm assuming, if Luis, if you could put the board and myself in a breakout room, please.
Okay.
All right.
Everyone back? Everyone's back? Okay, great. Now we're going to move into information discussion session 4.1, superintendent report, please.
So today, in honor of Colin being in his first month as assistant superintendent, we wrote the report, and he's going to give it. I'm going to chime in on a couple of things, but I'm going to let Colin take over on the board report, the district board report today.
Now, can you hear me okay? You couldn't tell that my mouth was moving with the mask. So first, we want to share some important recognitions. Shared this with all the principals earlier today, but in Orange County, Condor and Heritage's very own Uriel Montiel, our plant manager, and Susanna Betancourt, our office manager, have recently been named finalists in the California, I'm going to try to get this right. Sorry, no, Orange County School Classified Employees of the Year. So pretty cool. They are going to announce the winners on March 21st. So they're extremely deserving. Some of the hardest working people I know, and they just do amazing things for Vista every single day. And both have been here from the very beginning in Orange County.
And just an addendum to that is just a reminder also that we also have teacher of the year from last time from the same school. So they are rocking it in Orange County.
We also want to share our thoughts and also share with the board. We've obviously seen all over the news the horrific events in Ukraine. And it actually has hit home close to Vista as well. One of our education specialists here in Orange County, David Lugo, his wife is actually Ukrainian. All of her family is back in Ukraine. They actually met in Ukraine. And so we are definitely thinking of them. And he actually shared a link where he and his wife are trying to fundraise and send those funds over to their local city council. So if you are interested in helping out at all, please let me know, and I'd be happy to direct you in ways that you can help out. Michael Rosner, want to give Michael a shout out. Michael has ensured that his students at Horizon are going to receive and are receiving weekly art instruction. And as a principal to a principal, I know how difficult that must be to not just be principal, but also teacher at the same time. So seriously, hats off, Michael. That's pretty amazing.
And I do want to add that to that too, Colin. You know, we in our charters, we say that we're going to teach our students art, we're going to teach our students music. And until we grow to the right size to afford that full time, we were not able to do that. And Michael said, I'm just not going to let this up.
I have started in my new role as assistant superintendent, and apparently I'm a great asset to Vista district. We also in Orange County, we had a successful WASC visit. It seems like a long time ago, but it was just earlier this month. WASC is the Western Association of Schools and Colleges. That's our accreditation. So our diploma means something. And we don't get the actual report back until the WASC Commission approves it in April, but the preliminary report was extremely positive. We believe that we're going to get a full 6-year accreditation. And they, in their visiting committee report, they rated us as effective or highly effective in every single category. So that was very validating. And speaking of visits, last week we also finished our ISSN program review site visit as well, again with glowing reviews, more specifically this time related to our program of educating for global competence. But at the same time, it also provides us a framework in terms of where we want to go to take this to the next level. Let's see. Next one, and I know Don's going to chime in here. We have hired a new principal for Heritage and Meridian. Her name is Dr. Catherine Real, and she comes with lots of experience at the high school level, specifically in career technical education pathways.
So I do want to add to this. This is an incredible coming together of the Vista stars and planets, which we're always seems like we're blessed to have when it comes to the leadership at Vista. Catherine and I we did our doctorates together. In fact, Catherine is actually cited in our charter. She was on my research team and is one of the people that helped create the theoretical framework, which we use for our charter. And so when I found out that she was looking to change from her current position and that she would consider a principal position, I quite frankly, I didn't believe it. It was sort of like when we got Colin. And so she comes to us she's been working for Monrovia Unified now for the last 5 years, specifically with their pathway program. She also she was a consultant and worked with districts in California to help them implement their dual enrollment programs. She was a principal of Diamond Bar of almost 3,000 students for over 5 years. She also was a counselor, a high school counselor. I mean, literally, you couldn't imagine somebody with that many qualifications beyond just the principal's job, and exactly at the time when we need them. So we're grateful that she was willing to come on. She's been through multiple interviews at this point. She was with all of the executive team. Then she met with the hiring committee, and then she did a meet and greet with the teachers and staff. And so she will be starting in the next, I imagine, the next couple of weeks.
So the next item, we are busy, both in LA, Vista Legacy, the high school petition is going to be submitted to LAUSD later this week. And then in Orange County, the Vista Meridian countywide high school petition is going to be submitted to the Orange County Department of Education also later this week. So we are very busy with new charter petitions, especially at the high school level. Speaking of LA, want to give a shout out to Miss Amaya, Mr. Summer, and Coach G, because they are absolutely on fire with recruitment and enrollment so far. They already have 42 new students enrolled for next year, which is significantly higher than where they were at the same time last year. So way to go. In terms of Palm Lane, we've been continuing to support Palm Lane. Hats off to Erica, Karen, and Zari, as well as Dr. Wilson, continuing to support Palm Lane during the transition and making sure that the parents and the staff and the students are really cared for and supported. And speaking of Palm Lane, Dr. Wilson and I submitted the material revision to the Anaheim Elementary School District Board last Wednesday evening. We had about an hour of questions that they were pestering us with, but overall we think that it went very, very well, and we're very optimistic about that partnership moving forward. They will be holding a board meeting on April 27th. To make the final vote. And we are also moving full steam ahead with the partnership with UC Irvine and Charters OC to establish the first climate change leadership pathway in the whole state of California. We're also working with Mimi and Future Generations Now to make that happen. And we are very excited about the prospects of that. We are also, as part of that, just submitted a grant, a CTIG grant. It's a CTE grant to hopefully receive over $500,000 in CTE funds as well. And we're also applying for a Perkins grant, which is also another CTE grant for another $10,000. And then lastly, just finishing up with COVID items. We have probably heard in the news that rates have dropped significantly. We've also seen the same thing, very fortunately, at our schools. We have not had a single, knock on wood, COVID case at the Vista schools in Orange County in the last 3 weeks. We've not had a single case at Vista LA for the last 4 weeks. And then, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but we've only had 3 cases at Horizon since last April. So pretty great work. It definitely shows that we're following all the safety protocols. And which leads me to the last thing. You might have heard earlier today that Governor Newsom just mentioned that on March 11th, the state is shifting its stance on a mask mandate at schools and is changing the wording from mandate to strongly encouraged. And it's letting districts and local education agencies to decide on if they want to keep a mandate or loosen the restrictions a little bit to use that strongly encouraged wording. And that is everything in terms of the superintendent report.
And I just add on the last bit, just so you know, the way we will approach this is each one of our schools will be able to address this within the context of their own community and be sending out surveys to teachers, to parents to see where their comfort level lies as we move forward. So it's not going to be a one size fits all solution for Vista, but we'll work with each community individually to make sure that, as you guys know, as parents, many of your parents, that a lot of concern. So we will move forward cautiously.
Thank you, Dr. Felch. Are we also going to do an additional principals report, or are we going to move to our 4.5?
No, we definitely are going to do a principal report, and I would love to introduce our newest principal, Leanne Drake, and her first principal's report. So be kind. I have a feeling she's got a little sweat dripping down her her
The
forehead.
floor is yours.
Yeah.
The floor is yours.
You know, I just want to say thank you for being such a welcoming group, because I don't have any sweat. And I'm not sweating even less because Dr. Felch just ticked off a few things I was going to mention. So now it's going to be even shorter. So I don't have much to stress about. So I just wanted to let you know that our current enrollment at Condor is sitting at 322. We've just gone up a couple students in the last month. For our instructional updates, our teachers are continuing to practice their small group differentiated instruction to meet the needs of our students. That's in all classes for all students, including students with disabilities, as well as our English language learners. They're working very strategically with our intervention coordinator and some additional TAs we hired to target the skills that the students need to develop, that they're either slow to develop because of COVID, or they just have not gotten that attention previously. Those additional support positions, the intervention coordinator and 3 additional TAs that make up that intervention team, those were funded through the ESSER money, the Elementary and Secondary School Emergency Relief, and that was funds as part of the CARES Act. Hope I got that right, Arturo. Next at Condor, because hiring a full-time art teacher is expensive, we still wanted to offer art for our students at Condor. So we have a contract with Meet the Masters. They've been around since the mid-1980s, and they come in once a month and they learn about the work of different artists. They teach them a lesson, they do an assembly, and then the volunteer from Meet the Masters goes into every single classroom to teach an art lesson based on that artist. So this back mid-February, a couple weeks ago, we had Winslow Homer. And then next up in March is Pablo Picasso. So we're really excited to have them. And someday we hope to afford a full-time art teacher. And we don't have the talents of Mr. Mark Rosner on our site. So we have to go find it somewhere else. In the first week of February, our first grade students experienced Space Week, and they had tons of stellar hands-on activities. They studied the stars and the planets, and they were exposed to a lot of new vocabulary. They also wrapped up their study with a field trip to the Orange County College Planetarium, and the kids could not stop talking about it. It was so exciting for them, especially in first grade and COVID. This was their very first field trip ever, and they were so excited. Like field trip, school, they're just loving it. We're in the works of hiring a new Condor PE teacher. It's very exciting. I don't want to share it until we have everything here and he's actually on site and working for us, but we've been working on getting Condor its own PE teacher, just because our school is growing and we don't have enough personnel to offer those lessons on a consistent basis. In terms of a school culture update, February 1st, we celebrated the 100th day of school, kindergarten parades. It's a very fun thing. So they were parading around with their 100 items, and all of the students come out of classrooms and cheer them on. We also celebrated Lunar New Year with assembly presentations and classroom lessons and a beautiful parade by Mrs. Cow's 4th grade class. We've been celebrating Black History Month, and that culminated with a gallery walk last week where classes visited bulletin boards that were decorated by each class, learning about famous African Americans in our country. Each class researched a different person and then displayed what they learned on these bulletin boards, and every class got to do a gallery walk and learn about what each class learned. We're currently celebrating Read Across America. we're doing dress up days and read alouds. Today was silly books and everyone was wearing silly clothes. So that's been fun. Dr. Felch talked about Omicron decreases, yay. He also talked about our ISN program review visit. It was awesome. And it's so nice to see the teachers feel like they're doing something right. They got a lot of accolades for everything they are doing and affecting this change. One of the things that was great is they said the school strives to develop students who become leaders, making positive changes in the local and global community. And that was really powerful. So TK through 5, that was happening. Just for an update, we're going to be starting construction after spring break in the final bay of our building, which means Condor in Bay 2 will need to go back to the preschool that Templo is so graciously allowing us to occupy again. So after spring break, we'll be moving our 4th and 5th grade classes, my office, SPED office, 2 high school classes, and our after school program offices over to Bay 4 for the remainder of the year. And then finally, for a professional development update on Monday, March 14th, the teachers participated in Professional Development Day with our consultant, Tony Lee, on educating for global competence. We were really honored to have her. She's an amazing educator and coach. And that will be our last time with her as she is retiring this year. But she has promised to stay in touch and help the person that's coming on next to help us with the transition. So thank you, Dr. Felch, for me being able to shorten my report. And thank you for your time.
Righty, thank you.
Thank you. So moving on to 4.6, Icon Financial Report.
All right, good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
On my screen. All right, I know we have a pretty robust agenda today, so I'll try to be brief, but if you have any questions, please let me know. A couple of things I want to talk about today. First, I'm going to mention 2 fund plans that are going to be required by the end of the year, just so that the board's aware of what's coming down the road. We'll do quick second interim updates for the LA schools. The OC schools will have that next month for you. And then as usual, we'll have our monthly financials for January. So as you know, we're getting a lot of funds. There's a lot of different plans, et cetera. Like later today, you'll hear the LCAP supplemental. But there's 2 plans that are going to be required, one from all of the schools and then the other from the elementary. It's the Expanded Learning Opportunities Program and then the Universal Pre-Kindergarten Planning and Implementation Grant Program. The Expanding Learning Opportunities Program is the governors and states' intention to expand after school and intersession coverage for pretty much everyone. So the goal is to offer a 9-hour day of service for unduplicated students in TK through 6th grade. That'll be 9 hours during regular school days, so an additional 3 hours after the school day. And then the toughest part of this new funding is the providing the at least 30 non-school days of 9-hour coverage. So that's either during summer school, winter break, or spring break. You can coordinate with like 21st Century and with Think Together, which I think most of the schools will be planning to do. But that's the biggest kind of piece. So you see the allocations up above. This year's a transition year, but next year is when it goes into full effect, and those 30 days will be audited. Any funds we don't use this year, we're able to carry into next year. So we'll be looking to do some of that for the schools. The requirements, as I mentioned, this is really focused on providing that after school service for your unduplicated students and schools that have over 80%, which is everyone but Horizon this year. So they're gonna have to offer it to all students. If they're under 80%, then they need to offer it to all unduplicated students. So unduplicated, again, being your free and reduced lunch students, ELs, foster, and homeless students. So you have to offer it to everyone. Not every, they're not forced to use it, but you need to make sure that you do offer it for everyone. So there will be a plan that needs to be submitted and board approved by the end of June. So you'll see that coming from us.
Do you happen to know how many vacation days there are a year, like non-school days during the school year?
I don't know the principals.
That's
do.
okay. I was just curious. Don't even worry about it. Thank you.
And Michelle, there's a difference between, we'll send you the calendar, and it's actually on here today, but there's a difference between vacation days and non-school days.
Holiday. Yeah.
Do you mean holidays?
Well, so I guess what I'm saying is available non-school / holidays that aren't like federal where everybody's closed. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
So-
winter break.
Right. So we have, there's 11 federal holidays in our calendar. There are 3 weeks in the teacher and staff, not all staff, but part of the staff calendar at winter break, a week at spring break, and then there is 3 additional days during the Thanksgiving break. But I can give you an exact breakdown. We have, you'll be voting on the new calendar today, so we can give you those exact numbers.
Okay, thanks.
The next plan is the Universal Pre-Kindergarten Planning and Implementation Grant Program. So these amounts a little bit smaller, just 56,000 for Condor and 51 for Horizon. This is all in terms of the governor and the state also want to be able to provide TK to all students. This is to help in that transition. So right now, anybody who turns 5 between September 2nd and December 2nd, it's at the district discretion. But it'll slowly start expanding as you see on the out years, that by the time in 2025-26, anybody who turns 4 by September 1st will be able to access, TK services at the school site. The other thing to keep in mind with this is also the staffing ratio. So right now, generally you're 24-1, but for those TK classrooms, next year it'll be 1-12. And then the current projection is that the legislature is going to approve a 1-10 ratio in the outer years for TK. It does not have to be 2 certificated folks or 3 certificated folks. You can have your certificated teacher and then like a TA or instructional assistant in the classroom to meet those ratios. So that's going to be something to keep in mind. So this small grant is really to kind of help during that transition. We kind of talked to both Leanne and Michael about the plan and the template from the state. It's a good 40-page document. So you guys will see this. It'll come to the board by June, and the information from that plan will be submitted to CDE in July. Okay. All right, let's jump into second interim updates briefly for the LA schools. So looking at Vista LA, the good news is both schools showed an increase in ADA from when we did the first interim. So Vista LA went from about 309 to 314. So a nice healthy bump of 4.9. For the LA schools, this also reflected an increase in special ed rates. So we've got updated rates from LAUSD. It wasn't as significant as the first jump, just by a couple of dollars. We did update with some current trends and increased share costs. So like the new director of SPED and pupil services. So overall for LA, it stayed pretty relative to where we were at before at about 5% net income. So 302 at the first interim, 290 at the second interim. I do want to point out, as I've done in the past for Vista LA, so a good portion of this is still the in-person instruction grant for about $130,000. So that's what kind of kept us in the back when we first started the year, this 157, but still, a nice stronger position at the 5% at the second interim. Looking at Horizon, smaller ADA growth, but at least it consistent and did not come down. So from 74.1 at the first interim to now 75.17. Adjusted as well, the share of the SPED and People Services Director. Overall, we've had Horizon in the red last time at about 47,000. Now we're at about 59. So still in around that same spot. We had 77 before at the updated budget. So it's around that area. This is projected expenditure, so it could be coming in lower than that, but we're still projecting Horizon to end up in the red for this school year. All right, looking at financials quickly. So for Vista LA, this is based off of the first interim. We look at the expenditure side. Now, pretty much everything's on track. Books and supplies is still ahead of trend, but much closer. So right now you'd be about 58 and right at 59, so just above, but on track. The balance sheet for Vista LA, as always, is a nice healthy balance sheet. Cash in the bank accounts is about 3.1 million, total assets of 7, liabilities are just 1.4, so equity of 5.6 for Vista LA. For the LC schools, we're still comparing against the first interim. And the reason why they're kind of broken off separately is LAUSD requires to take an interim much earlier than all other districts. So that's why we have LAs already, and you'll see the LCs at the next board meeting. The big update here is the grant you guys approved last month, the CRO grant. So that's now reflected in the revenue received by Heritage. And when I see the year-to-date for local revenue being significantly above our budget, but we'll capture that at the second interim. On the expenditure side, so Heritage is one of the schools that was above on books and supplies, but now it's back on track. It's at 56.48. So kind of getting back in where it needs to be, and overall at 56.34. So on target for Heritage. Their balance sheet, so total cash in the bank, about 1.1 million at the end of January, assets of 2.4, liabilities a little bit higher at 2, so total equity of just 391,000 for Heritage. For Condor, so similar thing again, just based off the first interim budget. Uniform sales is why the local revenue is above what we budget at the first interim, and we will update that again at the second. Books and supplies for Condor is still trending above, so about 61%, where you expect us to be at about 58 a little bit before. It is the delta between where they should be is narrowing, so it is starting to head in the right direction. Overall, expenditures are at 46.79. This is a little bit lower than where I expect it to be when you see it next month, and the reason for that is on the other operating expenditures, you're at 33%. A big piece of that was the rent that was budgeted in, but now after your bond in December, there is no rent for the rest of the year. So we're going to adjust that, and you'll see that percentage go up. The balance sheet for Condor, so total cash in banks just under 1 million, assets about 1.9, liabilities of around 1, so total equity of 919,000. Looking at Horizon, so we did update based off of the second interim, so we're comparing versus that. Everything is on target. So as you see here, it's at 46.96. So even though we're in the red about 59, there is room there to shrink that a bit for Horizon and not be in the red as much, although we'll still keep an eye on things. For their balance sheets, a little less, so 571,000 cash at the end of January, assets of under 1 million, liabilities of 674, so total equity of just $264,000. Outstanding checks. So the good news is we were able to get that corrected with the Think Together that you saw at the last one. So lower amounts now that are past 90 days or past 60 days. So keep an eye out. A lot of this is staff. So for the principals, so you can follow up with those staff members to see whether they've lost a check or whether we need to reissue. You would just need to submit a written request for that. And then you have your check register. Let me know if there are any questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Arturo. Moving on to 4.7, the supplement to the annual update to the 2021 LCAP update on the budget overview for parents and annual update to the 2022 LCAP for Vista Heritage Global Academy.
So Luis is going to share his screen, and I just want to let you all know that this is a presentation that we have to do separately for each of the 4 schools. And so I am going to go through this pretty quickly, but please let me know if you have any questions. Feel free to stop me along the way if something doesn't make sense or if you have any questions. So we're going to start with Heritage. And this is a combination of, as you mentioned, the supplement to this year's LCAP. Also, we have 1 page for the parent budget overview, and then also the LCAP supplement, or sorry, the annual update. There we go. So the first thing. You can work it. So the first thing is the LCAP supplement. So the LCAP supplement is it's basically asking us to talk about how we engaged stakeholders and how we used a lot of our one-time funds for heritage and pretty much for all of the schools. Stakeholder engagement, for the most part, came through school site council, as well as here in our board meetings. Some schools also included additional parent meetings, such as coffee with the principals, for stakeholder engagement. And for the most part, it depends on the different funds, but a lot of the funds were used to hire some additional staff. So for example, at Heritage, we hired a school nurse, intervention coordinator. We got additional custodians, PPE, et cetera. So again, if you have any questions, this is literally just one slide of the entire thing. Can we go back? For Heritage. So for Heritage, the budget overview for parents, this is just showing what the projected budget was from last spring compared to our first interim budget. Heritage's funds, the LCFF funds, went down a little bit based on the actual ADA in the first interim, but it made up a little bit with supplemental concentration funds as well as the federal funds, and so projected revenue was down a little bit, but the projected expenditures also down a little bit. The rest of this presentation is based on last year's LCAP and giving a mid-year update. So all of the metrics, baseline data, and desired outcome data are copy and paste from our LCAP. And then that large middle category is basically just a mid-year data update. And so, for example, related to goal 1, all teachers have participated in data-driven instructional cycles. 75% of the kids at Heritage are demonstrating mastery in their academic subjects, sharing our iReady Diagnostic 2 data in math and reading. 100% of the Heritage teachers are implementing strategies, including Kagan, to increase engagement. And all teachers have access and are using the standards-based instructional materials. You can see how lengthy this is. I'm not going to bore you with all of this, but rather explain that these are all of the actions related to goal 1 and all of the an update on where we are related to each action, as well as the mid-year expenditures related to each action. So again, please stop me if you have any questions about any of these. Related to goal 2, which is providing a learning environment and resources that are equitable for all subgroups. This is showing the EL performance data, the SPED performance data, the reclassification rates, EL growth through the LPAC. Some of this is not available yet because it is through end of year tests. Suspension rates, 0 suspensions, as well as students demonstrating progress in their IEPs. Again, the actions related to each of these and the expenditures related to each of the actions so far in these actions related to goal 2. Goal 3 is how staff are supported with in an equitable way to grow in their development. Again, the mid-year data, all teachers are participating in a professional growth model. And related to the mission and vision, an instructional leadership team has been established at Heritage. All Heritage administrators have been participating in professional learning to support teachers, and all teachers are fully credentialed at Heritage to teach the courses in grade levels. The actions related to that are here, as well as the mid-year expenditures. Related to goal 4, students receive social emotional supports to allow them to feel safe and successful at school. I mentioned the suspension rates before, 0%, 0% expulsion rates. 80% of Heritage staff have implemented a PBIS model, and 80% of Heritage students, approximately 80%, are participating in self-reflection and progress monitoring on a regular basis. All of the teachers are implementing and participating in Way of Counsel on a weekly basis. And then the other items, so the next one is the LCAP survey, which is going to be administered a little later in this year in terms of how staff and students feel in terms of their safety on campus. And lastly, the Heritage received a good status on the facilities inspection tool. And here are the actions, the mid-year data, as well as the mid-year expenditures related to Goal 4. There we go. Goal 5, parents are engaged, actively engaged as stakeholders. So currently, Heritage has seen approximately a 50% attendance rate during school site council. COVID has played an issue in that. In terms of parent communication, Heritage has sent a total of 77,000, and I counted each one, 77,828 messages on talking points to parents so far this year, which is almost to the total amount that was sent last year. And then for parent engagement events, parent education classes, in terms of the LCAP survey, that will be done later in the spring. And in-person classes are also being put on hold due to the pandemic. And then lastly, any parent feedback has either been addressed or will be addressed later on in the school year due to the survey. And here are the actions, updated data, and mid-year expenditures related to Goal 5. That is the presentation for Heritage. And as I mentioned, we have 3 more to go, but I know it's a different agenda item as we move to the next one. Paul, do we need to announce the next agenda item, or should I just move on?
Oh, I'm sorry. I think I was on mute. So if you can do, Dr. Wilson, do we need to announce the agenda item or do we just go 4.8?
You can say item 4.8 is fine. You don't have to.
Okay, great. Item 4.8. Thank you.
All right. And again, I'm going to breeze through these probably even quicker because you saw the process. So this is for Condor. So we're going to start with the LCAP supplement. And pretty much all of the LCAP supplements were, I would say they were 90% the same because in terms of how Condor, Heritage, Vista LA, and Horizon engage stakeholders, almost all pretty much the same in terms of what was used for many of the expenses. Again, almost exactly the same. Condor and Heritage are very, very close because a lot of the positions were shared positions, as I mentioned earlier. School nurse, Condor also hired an intervention coordinator, additional school custodian, and additional cleaning supplies, PPE, etc. Let's move on to the next slide. For the parent overview, the budget overview for parents, Condor has actually seen a relatively large growth compared to last year's budget overview for parents, and that is due to the enrollment increase that Condor saw coming into this year. So the LCFF funds have actually risen by about $350,000, $360,000. And in addition, concentration supplemental funds, other state funds, federal funds have all increased. And so when you're looking at the projected revenue from last year to this year, we're looking at about $700,000 in additional revenue in the first interim budget compared to what was projected last year. There has been an increase in terms of expenditures because when you have more kids, you need additional staff and supplies, et cetera. But Condor has definitely done a good job in terms of where they're at with enrollment. For goal 1, again, same goal. All of the schools have the same LCAP goals. So you're going to see a lot of the same items here. Some of the differences are in terms of like the iReady Diagnostic 2 results, but in everything else is pretty much the same. All teachers are participating in data-driven instructional cycles, implementing strategies for engagement, and using standard-based instructional materials. These are all of the items for Condor's LCAP Goal 1, all of the action items with the mid-year data and mid-year expenditures. For Goal 2, again, same Goal 2 related to the subgroups we serve. This is Condor's data related to EL performance on CASP through our mid-year iReady data, as well as the SPED performance mid-year. And then in terms of reclassification rates and LPAC, that will come later on in the spring. Condor also has a 0% suspension rate, and currently 95% of Condor students have demonstrated progress and met their goals in their IEPs. These are the action items, mid-year data and mid-year expenditures related to Goal 2. For Goal 3, how staff are supported through professional development. Again, you'll see same items. All staff are participating in professional development around the mission and vision. Condor also has a 5-person instructional leadership team, just like Heritage. And when Condor administrators are participating in professional development, and all Condor staff are fully credentialed. And here are the action items and expenditures for Goal 3. For Goal 4, related to social emotional supports, Condor also has a 0% suspension rate, expulsion rate. 80% of Condor staff have implemented a PBIS model, and also 80% of Condor students are participating in self-reflection on a regular basis. All staff are participating in Way of Counsel, and then the survey, the LCAP survey, just like with Heritage, will go out later in the spring. And Condor, just like Heritage, received a good status on the facilities inspection tool. Here are the actions for Goal 4. Lastly, Goal 5, related to parents being engaged as active partners. Condor also has approximately a 50% attendance rate during school site council this year. Again, pandemic related. Condor has sent a little more than Heritage in terms of talking points messages. Almost 86,000 messages have been sent between Condor staff and parents this year. And then in terms of the other items, parent classes have been put on hold due to the pandemic, and the LCAP survey, which will identify the other items, will be later in the spring. And here are the actions for Goal 5. On to Vista LA. We're halfway done.
Very good. So 4.9, please.
All right. And we'll again go to the LCAP supplement. I feel like a broken record now, but Vista LA also engaged stakeholders the same way through school site council, coffee with the principal, and through these board meetings. And then Vista LA also, added, I believe it was an additional custodian, added additional teacher assistants. And Karen, correct me if I'm wrong. I believe it was a counselor that was also added with the funds. So there was HVAC maintenance, Chromebooks for students, and hopefully soon an intervention coordinator as well. For the budget overview for parents, in terms of the projection from last year to this year, Vista LA's first interim went up compared to last year rather significantly, about $250,000 in LCFF funds. Also went up in terms of supplemental and concentration funds, as well as rather significantly, almost doubled in terms of federal funds. And so when you're looking at the projected revenue, for Vista LA went up overall about $500,000. They did see a little decrease in other state funds. they did have additional expenditures that were in the first interim compared to what was projected at the end of last year. In terms of the goal one, again, it's the same goal one as the OC schools, where all teachers are participating in data analysis cycle, and teachers are reviewing their grades on a regular basis. They don't have data related to the CASP, but Karen included some of the previous data in that table. And then 100% of teachers are selecting focused students for differentiation. And then all materials are standards-based. There are the actions and expenditures related to goal one. For goal two, related to the subgroups we serve, here is the EL performance on the, I believe it's the iReady math and ELA. Actually, no, that's the CASP last year. In terms, let's see, 2 English learners have reclassified so far, and additional supports are being provided to help hopefully reclassify a whole lot more students later on in the spring. And in terms of individual plans to support students to progress in the LPAC later on in the spring, here is the data for the SPED performance in CASP. They've had 17 IEPs to date, and 86% of the students are meeting the goals. And then currently the suspension rate is also 0%. There are the actions as well as the mid-year expenditures for goal 2. For goal 3, related to professional development, all teachers are participating in professional development on a weekly basis. ILT is also meeting weekly and doing a lot of work related to curriculum and instruction, assessment, school culture, and teachers play a big role in terms of facilitating professional development at Vista LA. Administrators have also done a number of PDs, including coaching, and as Don mentions, a lot of the at these meetings, principals and admin meet on a weekly basis to do our own professional development. Here are the actions, mid-year data and mid-year expenditures related to goal 3. For goal 4, related to social emotional supports, mid-year data shows that 0% of students have been suspended, 0% of students have been expelled. There is monthly grade level student recognition at Vista LA. 100% of students participate in data analysis of their assessments and also reflect on that. And also there is a full-time school psych to support with mental health. Vista LA also has PUC counseling, and 100% of students participate in Way of Counsel on a weekly basis. Here are the actions and expenditures related to goal 4 for Vista LA. And for goal 5, parents engaged as partners. SSC meetings are held monthly. Class Dojo parent participation is as such here, 58% in 6th grade, 81% in 7th grade, and 83% in 8th grade. There have been a number of parent engagement events, including back to school night, virtual and in-person parent conferences, trunk or treat, and 2 vaccine clinics. And Way of Counsel in terms of building home to school relationships is in progress. And 80% of parents participated and responded to the LCAP survey. Here are the actions, data, and expenditures related to goal 5. And last, we'll move on to Horizon.
Thank you. Information item 4.10, please.
All right. Again, broken record continues. very, very similar items in terms of stakeholder engagement, similar items in terms of what was purchased, although for Horizon, the main difference is a lot of these one-time coronavirus relief funds were used to maintain the level of teacher assistance. Next slide. Next slide. So in terms of the budget overview compared to the first interim, we do see a little bit of a drop there, approximately $400,000 in terms of LCFF funds compared to last year's projection. You see a small drop in terms of supplemental concentration and other state funds. Fairly even, a little increase in federal funds, but in terms of the total revenue as well as the expenditures, we see a very similar drop of approximately $350,000. In terms of goal one, again, same goal and very similar data in terms of teachers participating in data-driven cycles, in terms of the percentage of students mastering their core academic subjects. This is the iReady data for for Horizon, as well as all of the teachers implementing strategies to increase engagement, and everybody has access to the instructional materials. And here is the, let's see, here are the actions and expenditures related to goal one. For goal two, the EL performance on the CASP, the SPED performance on the CASP, and then EL reclassification rates, growth on the LPAC, suspension rates are also at 0, IEP goals, and attendant rates and chronic absenteeism rates are here as well. Goal actions and expenditures related to goal two. For goal three, professional development, again, all staff are actively participating in professional development. The Horizon has an instructional leadership team that is active, and all of the Horizon teachers are fully credentialed as well. Here is the actions and expenditures related to goal three. For goal four, for social emotional supports, 0 suspensions, 0 expulsions. Most of the staff are implementing PBIS, as well as most students participating in self-reflection. 100% of students are participating in Way of Counsel on a weekly basis. And then the LCAP survey hasn't been administered yet. And here are the actions and expenditures related to goal four. Goal five, the last one, is parents are actively engaged as partners. And then the data related to school site council attendance. I think this is, I know in terms of Class Dojo, there have been a lot of active messaging related to Class Dojo. And then again, same thing with the LCAP survey. That will be done later in the spring. And here are the actions and expenditures related to goal five. So that is, that's it.
Thank you.
I very, very briefly just want to say, I hope the board heard. Thank you, Colin, by the way. Well done. And a burden off of our principal's shoulders. So thank you for taking that. Also, I hope the board heard very clearly how much of our vision and mission is actually being implemented at 100%. So congratulations to Colin on those reports, but to all of our principals for making that happen.
Thank you, Colin. Moving to action items, 5.1. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.1, the Vista Horizon second interim budget for 2021-2022 school year?
Michelle Bauer
Aye.
being moved.
Paul Vieira,
Joe
second.
Rubio, second.
Any discussion?
This is what Arturo explained during his report.
Thank you. All in favor by saying aye, Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Barabin,
Aye.
Jody Mullendow, absent, Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye, Dr. Susie O.
Dr. O has left, and just for a matter of brevity, you don't have to mention Dr. O or Jody moving forward. It's already noted.
Okay,
Minutes
thank
that-
you. So motion has passed. 5.2, can I get someone to make a motion to approve the Vista Charter Middle School second interim budget for 2021-2022 school year?
I
Michelle
Mimi Kim motion to approve 5.2.
Can I get a second? Paul Vieira, second. Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye, Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Barabin,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. Motion is passed. Can I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.3, the 2022-2023 Vista Charter Public Schools instructional calendar?
I Mimi
Aye.
Kim motion to approve.
Can I
Aye,
get a
Joe
second?
Rubio, second.
Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye, Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Barabin,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. Action item 5.3 has passed. May I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.4, the 2021-2022 Vista Horizon Global Academy School Wide Plan, the SWP?
I Mimi Kim motion to approve 5.4.
Can I get a second?
Aye, Joe Rubio, second.
Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye, Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Barabin,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. 5.4 action item has passed. May I get someone to make a motion to approve the Chief Information Officer job description and salary scale?
Michelle Bauer Bean, so move.
I Mimi Kim second.
Any discussion?
This is a new position. It'll be a district-wide position. We have contracted much of these duties out for a significant amount of money each month, and this will now be in-house, just like we took our special ed in-house as well at the last meeting.
Thank you. All in favor by saying aye, Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Barabin,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. 5.5 action item is passed. May I get someone to make a motion to approve the VCPS arbiter pay account? Arbiter, or maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. Pay account? Paul Vieira, I make a motion to approve 5.6. Can
I
get a
second. Mimi Kim second.
Any discussion?
Colin, do you want to explain that? You guys are on mute, Luis.
Okay, now you can hear me, right? So now that we have a high school and we have more serious athletics, we have to pay referees. And so this is a common way that schools and districts pay referees through arbiter pay. It was something that when I asked our legal team, Rich and Erica, they were like, yeah, a number of other schools use the same thing. So pretty typical, but we do need board approval to adopt it or make an account.
Very good. All in favor by saying aye, Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Barabin,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Vieira, aye. Motion is passed for 5.6. May I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.7, the credit card limit for the assistant superintendent up to $25,000.
Michelle Bauer being so moved.
Mimi
I
Kim second.
Paul Viera. Any discussion?
Very briefly, just, I have a similar limit. These are not really used by myself and probably really won't be used by Dr. Felch either. They are mostly used for our principals when they don't have enough money on their credit cards and they need to make orders. So then it's authorized and then they use our cards.
Okay. All in favor by saying aye. Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Viera, aye. 5.7 is passed. May I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.8, the 2021-2022, the employment agreement addendum for Zara Adamijian.
I Mimi Kim motion to approve.
Can I get a second?
Aye, Joe Rubio, second.
Any discussion?
Just a brief one, this and the next three. Just a reminder that none of these monies actually come out of Vista. This was approved by the Palm Lane board and then has to be approved by our board as well. This money's come from Palm Lane. And the
Thank you,
agreement.
Dr. Wilson. All in favor by saying aye. Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Viera, aye. 5.8 is passed. May I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.9, the 2021-2022, the employment agreement addendum for Karen Amaya.
Michelle Bauer being so moved.
I Mimi Kim second.
Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye. Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Viera, aye. Motion is passed for 5.9. May I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.10, the 2021-2022, the employment agreement addendum for Erica Nahera.
Nakara.
I Mimi Kim motion to approve.
Can I get a second, please?
Aye, Joe Rubio, second.
Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye. Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Viera, aye. Motion is passed. May I get someone to make a motion to approve 5.11, the 2021-2022, the employment agreement addendum for Don Wilson?
I Mimi Kim motion to approve.
Paul Viera, I second. Any discussion? All in favor by saying aye. Mimi Kim,
Aye.
Michelle Bauer Bean,
Aye.
Joe Rubio,
Aye.
Paul Viera, aye. Motion is passed. Moving to board comments. Is there any board members that would like to make a comment? Evening.
Thank you for helping it out.
And I'm not a board member, but I do just want to point out what may not be obvious, that we've grown into a system of 6 schools, soon to be 7, and it's with the ability to serve more than 3,500 students once we reach capacity. So just a round of applause and congratulations. As I pointed out in our meeting today to our administrators, it's easy to lose sight of what we do with the day-to-day things, but this means that 3,500 plus students will be served with better education. It means that people in all of our schools, the Uriel Montiels, who are these employees, the Susan Betancourts, the Debbies, they all have employment that they can count on for their families and for the longevity. So it's noble all the way around. So thank you everyone for what you do in board. We couldn't do this without you. Sometimes it gets long, but we could not do this without you. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Amazing
thank
work.
you. Thank
Alrighty.
you guys as well. The whole admin staff is amazing. So we
Unbelievable.
do appreciate all the hard work that you guys do. And so if there's no other comments, can I get someone to make a motion to adjourn?
So moved, Michelle Bauer Bean.
So second, Mimi Kim.
All in favor by saying aye. Aye.
Aye, aye, aye.
Aye.
Okay, well, good night, everyone.
Thank you,
Good
everyone.
Night, everyone.
Take care.
See you later.